Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, you guys, because I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take all of that information and apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. It is going to be a solo show here. Turned into that last minute. Unfortunately, there was some stuff that needed to get rescheduled, but you know, you guys, I show up every single day. So my man JD is going to be coming on actually this Thursday, and I'm going to be going live early on Thursday because I'm going to be traveling up to Canada here. I actually fly up to Vancouver here in a couple hours, and then I fly back Thursday, and we're going to go live early Thursday morning, like 6 a.m. Pacific time early. And my man JD is going to jump on with me. And, but yeah, I got some articles though, you guys, because there's just an endless supply of stuff going on. But before I do any of that, you guys, as always, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part, you get paid to move these trailers. That's right. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by getting paid to move these trailers and then finding freight to load these trailers out. So what they're working on, you guys, is they got them out in San Diego, California. They got some roll-up doors needing to go to Wisconsin and New Hampshire. They also have some standard swing doors needing to go to Springdale, Arkansas, Illinois, Ohio, and Minnesota, you guys. And they range between $1,100 and $2,200 per trailer. And then they also have Paragould, Arkansas, needing to go up to Mississauga, Ontario, and you get $736 US per trailer. And with these, you guys, you don't have to just pick them up in the shipping, like the area, like Paragould. You can grab it out of Paragould, bring it down to Memphis, stage it down there, and have it go up. It just has to end up in Mississauga. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends, Zach Lonergan and Stacey Steen will be in the audience. Just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Tracy St. Clair watching on YouTube, good morning. Sunny Sharma, good morning. Orange Shirt, Kang, Thomas Wiederin, Freight morning. Happy Monday, y'all. Terrence Cooper, good morning. Stephen Thompson, good morning. Catherine Whitehouse, good morning. Zena Oriana, good morning. Anthony Rhodes, good morning. Adolfo Rodriguez, buenos dias. Let's go. I like it. It's going to be a great week this week, you guys. I don't know about you, but I feel the momentum. I feel the momentum right now, you guys. There's been a lot of great things starting to progress out there in the business development side of things, building this stuff up from scratch. Like, yeah, I've had, 12, 13, 14 years experience in transportation right at the end of the day. But I'm out here building up my brokerage right now from scratch. I was out of the freight game of the day-to-day here for the last couple of years while I was doing sales and ops training as a consultant while I was starting up all the media stuff. And then recently getting back in. And when I say recently, I mean back in January is when we really, really started going. And, within 7 months of prospecting and getting it up to where we are today and, working with like 8-10 active shippers and the prospects and I'm starting to see the response from our prospects increase and the engagements are starting to increase. And that's what's most exciting about all of this, and it's a lot of, again, it's practicing what I preach. Like, I'm only going after open deck shippers, right? Like, yes, there's some of my shippers that have dry van freight because those go hand in hand with each other. But my primary focus is in open deck and heavy haul. And I'm really out there focusing in on that. And I think I attribute a lot of that to the responses that we're getting and the freight that we're moving with it. And, for me, the momentum is that's one of those things that, I follow Andy Frisella a lot. If you don't listen to the Real AF podcast, you need to download it and listen to it. I literally listen to it all the time. And, he talks about momentum being a thing of like, you can catch it and you can harness it and you don't have to let the momentum go. And I feel that right now, like to my core. And it's been an amazing experience to kind of get back and really start building it up. And then personally, like, again, I'm building this business up with my best friend at the end of the day. We're polar opposites of each other from the not the personality type, like we both have similar personalities, but we also are polar opposites from like our way that we analyze situations. We read this book called Traction. It's with, and I still think whatchamacallit, we followed that, and it talks about integrator and visionary relationships inside of business. And he's your prototypical integrator and I'm the prototypical visionary of it. And it's amazing to kind of see how this has progressed with that. But the momentum is real, you guys. And a lot of the reason why I'm bringing that up is because like I know how tough it is, right? Like I don't create content to try and make myself sound better than anybody else. My main focus is to provide actual insight from people who have done the job before, right? And again, I don't have a lot of this stuff figured out. I just know a lot of what not to do, and I know chasing freight markets and only going after what everybody else is a losing strategy. I think that you really got to identify your niche and you stick with it and you build that out. And now it's complete sales rep by sales rep basis, right? Because as we're building up, I mean, it's just the two of us right now by choice, right? Like we're working through a lot of processes. Like we have a lot of training documented. Like we have 80 plus hours worth of training ready to go for our new hires when we start hiring and everything. So we've been doing a lot of that behind the scenes structural implementation. Shout out to him for that, because that's I don't write shit down. He loves to write stuff down. And for me though, to take it a step further, while we're working through a lot of these things, like we're going to stick with this, and then back to the niche, we're going to build our brokerage based off of that. But when we hire sales reps, when we expand and add in, a dry van sales rep or a reefer sales rep, like they're only going to sell that to begin and build their book of business up on that, because I just think that there's enough jack of all trades out there, right? Like the people want to work with subject matter experts. They really do. They want to work with individuals who know their freight, who know their operation, and frankly, who can add value right away, right? Like I don't think anybody wants to hire somebody to do business with them just to train them up on what a flatbed is and what straps are and what tarps are and all of that stuff, right? So for me, it's one of those situations where, if you're out there and you're struggling, like I've struggled, right? Like I struggle in sales fucking all the time. I get the exact same rejections and objections and all of that stuff that you guys get out there, right? So you're not alone in that. I struggle with that aspect of things. And, a lot of it for me is because at my core, I know I can add value. But I also know that I got to earn that shit. And I think that, if you're out there struggling, don't give up, right? Like don't stop. Let everybody else quit. I don't have all this figured out, right? I've been doing this, I've been self-employed now for over 3 years. And my mentality the whole time has been, I'll just fucking figure it out. And that's kind of what I've relied on. But I also think that for you, if you're out there, working through those, you just got to keep pushing forward, right? As Ed Milet says, the power of one more. I'm rereading that book right now, and he talks about it in there, and it's true. You're one phone call away, you're one email away, you're one introduction away from changing your life every single time. And Byron, that's literally how I handle rejections, is with that mentality. Because I understand not everybody's going to work with me, and I'm fine with that. But I am one call away. So if I get 1,000 no's, I'm one call away from changing my life. I'm one introduction away. I'm one social media post away from changing my life. That's literally how I just go about it every single day. And I know for a fact, if I hold myself accountable to my tasks of the day, whatever your outreach number is, everybody's different. If it's, 30 outreaches or, 30 emails, 10 phone calls, whatever that breakdown is, whatever that looks like for you, hold yourself to that stuff every single day. Because that's where the secret sauce lies. It really does. It really does, at least from my perspective. So let me see here. Nick Sanders, good morning. Scott Watanabe, the freight sensei in the house. Yeah, Scott, so the studio is painted. It's just a process, man. Like this stuff is, it's expensive to build that stuff out. And for me with it, I am, cause I'm going to be doing a multi-camera angle in there. I got to add more mic stands in there, which I have all of that stuff. But some of the core things that I want to add in there are, it's a lot of money. And I'm bootstrapping all this shit, brother. So maybe, I might just jump in and start doing it. But I wanted to do this one right since I'm investing a pretty penny inside of that. But I feel you, man. I'm working on it, though, brother. I promise. Carla Isted, good morning. And Adolfo says, I'm new to the industry. Sales is sales, but correct lingo gets you in the door so much easier. Rejection will always be there. Be goldfish. Yeah, man, I agree with that. Sales is sales, in a sense, and people are going to want to work with you, but because they like you. I think that has a lot to do with it. But again, prepared, going in there, using the right lingo. And if you want to use that right lingo, man, you got to call the same shipper profile, in my opinion, especially if you're just getting started off in this industry. There's enough people who can do everything and handle everything. And I think that they are looking for more of those subject matter experts. All right, let's go down. Let's break some stuff before we go into that. First article, I will put the links to these articles up on the YouTube channel, The Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay. And that will be available on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after the show. First article, though, FreightWaves contract rate decline takes pause despite the significant spot market discount. Long-term truckload rates stabilize over the summer. Truckload van contracted rates have flatlined over the past 2 months, dropping 13% over the previous 9 months. This is happening despite spot rates still offering a 20% discount on average. Why is this happening? I'll give my perspective here in a little bit. Out of season, it says. Traditional bid season, which during the bulk of shippers sends out RFPs for transportation providers to submit their prices. Shout out to LoadSmart. Just go get them. Anyways, typically occurs in Q4 and Q1 of the following year. Implementation happens in Q1 and Q2. This means that contract rates typically stabilize throughout the middle of the year. For the period during and following the pandemic, contract rates have not had many periods of stability due to enormous amount of volatility and demand. The National Outbound Volume Index, which measures shippers' requests for contracted capacity, jumped 50% from July to July of 19 to July of 2020. The bulk of that jump came from April to July of 2020, and then that fell 30% through 2022. Basically, the market has flipped from too much capacity to way too little, and now too much over the past 4 years, and this has disrupted the normal cadence. It goes on to say less negotiation. Many companies use mini bids or put special projects bids out of the market for carriers to bid for shorter periods of time just to ensure higher levels of service while capacity was tight. Once demand collapsed, some transportation providers offered early rate reductions prior to the bid to lock in rates and avoid exposure to the market downturn. And brokerages have leaned into the ability to be nimble and renegotiate as capacity is in oversupply, taking advantage of their edge in a transitional market. Last summer, rates fell 4% from June to August, and that the current data shows that it might be slowing. And then let me see here, spot market stability. While spot rates excluding fuel costs above $1.20 per gallon. Okay, hold on. While spot markets excluding fuel costs above $1.20 per gallon to make it comparable to common fuel surcharges are still averaging 23% discount to the market. They are up approximately 4%. Pair this increase in demand. The bid process is very labor intensive and takes months for the largest shippers to prepare and execute. Just why you got to hit up LoadSmart. Anyway, shippers are getting their service needed in the budgets that are out there. I think, all right. So I literally just released a podcast about all of this last week. That's why I was referencing Load Smart so many times, is because we were talking about this. And I personally think my personal opinion is in due time, the traditional bid cycle is going to be, I don't want to call it obsolete. It's just not going to be done on an annual or an every 2-year basis anymore. I think with the way technology is proceeding and evolving, I think that you could get it down to as little as 30 days if you really wanted to. Now, are all shippers going to do that? Absolutely not. Right? Like that's a big thing. But I think to capture a lot of these markets, because I've seen many bids multiple times throughout the years, and by specific customers of mine, due to weather events and natural disasters and all of this stuff that happened. It was very common, and I think as technology increases and evolves, you'll start to see more of that. Um, when it comes to negotiation right now, when it comes to bidding on freight, yes, think I personally think that the spot market's going to start to rebound later this year. And when I say rebound, I don't mean a cataclysmic rise by any stretch of the imagination, but I think you're going to start to see it creep up. Um, when it comes to bidding freight, because a lot of customers out there, again, at the end of the day, they want year rates, and that I would feel very confident that there's, outside of a major geopolitical event or a massive worldwide issue, I don't foresee rates drastically rising that much over the next 12 months. I really don't. And is there going to be changes? Of course, there's going to be changes. But my thing is I think there's going to be a lot more stability here for the foreseeable future. That doesn't say that the market's not going to improve. I truly think that the market's going to start improving, like I've been saying time and time again. But I think from a bidding cycle, I don't think there's going to be any massive shakeups out there. Again, outside of something major happening. So if you're going out there and bidding, if a customer's, because again, customers can rebid freight whenever they want, right? Like they don't have to say that, oh, we're going to do it at this time. Customers will do it whenever they want. It's their freight, it's their P&L. They're going to do that. I've seen it happen numerous times. When it comes down to the information in this article, yes, there is good information that is out there, but I just think that the traditional bid season, I don't think that rates ever really stabilize in like any part of the year. I think that you find more consistent. Like to me, it's tough to say like, hey, in June, July, and August, rates are going to stay the same. I think you're looking at more of a broader picture of it right now, where I think rates are going. And again, I could be fucking wrong, right? Like I'm just going based off of my experience in the industry. But I personally think for the next 12 months, I don't think there's going to be any major spikes out there or drops at the same time. I think that you're going to, like I've been saying pretty much all year, you're going to see the seasonal jumps of freight. You're going to see that, but it's not going to be a long enough time to trigger a rebid. All it will do is it'll breathe more life into the spot market because people are going to reject tenders. That's all that happens out there. So the contracted rates are going to suffer from that, but the spot market rates are going to pick that volume up. But again, it's comparing. It's a tough comparison overall. Again, there's good information in this article. I just think that for the most part, contracted rates, whatever you're paying right now, I would feel confident that whatever you're bidding right now is going to stay doable for the next 12 months. Like, yeah, there's going to be give or take out there, of course. Don't get me wrong. But if you have customers looking for a year bid and a year rate commitment, and you're putting it in right now for next year, I would feel fairly confident that the market is going to remain stable enough where you can capture that. That's not to say that there couldn't be an improvement out there on the spot market and everything else, because I personally think that later this year, that's when it's going to rise. I think you'll see tender rejections start to rise. And when you see that happen, that's when there will be a big change out there. So freightwaves.com, contract rates decline, takes pause despite significant spot market discount. Jodran Vansky, what is up? Let's go in a brand new week. Let me see here. Byron saying, just trying to catch up here. Providing a rate would be hard for me. I enjoy fight for justice through poetry. This is why she is my attorney. Oh man, I rely on my attorney too, man. Attorneys are, as much as I don't like attorneys, I also love my attorneys very, very much because they save me a lot of bullshit. Next article, we are going to break down fleetowner.com. Yellow officially files for Chapter 11 and blasts union. I just put out a clip, so I got a long form podcast dropping tomorrow with my friend Scooter Sayers. And Scooter has worked primarily in the LTL industry for like 30 plus years, like almost as fucking long as I've been alive. I'm 37. Not trying to age you, Scooter, but he's been in the industry for quite some time. And he has a very good take on this, and he provided a lot of great information. We had a really good conversation regarding it, and that episode will drop tomorrow on iTunes and Spotify. But anyways, Yellow Corp officially calls it quits as of yesterday, announcing it is filing Chapter 11 in bankruptcy court out there in Delaware, but not without first laying much of the blame for the carrier's demise at the feet of the union that represented 22,000 of its 30,000 employees. So it goes on to say, we face 9 months of union, bullying, deliberately destructive tactics. Our company has the right to manage its own operations, but we have experienced the International Brotherhood of Teamsters leadership was able to halt our business plan, literally driving our company out of business despite every effort to work with them. Again, leadership is so key in these moments. That was said by CEO Darren Hawkins out there. Leadership is key in these moments. And I think that at the end of the day, passing the blame in another direction is warranted in some cases, but I just think that at this point, it's not. Again, I personally feel that I don't disagree with what he's saying. I disagree. I don't disagree with the sentiment behind the statement. But I disagree with you as the leader of a company, just essentially at this point, not being like, I should have been more accountable in that instance. That's all. Because I personally feel that and I was talking with Gabe Pinkinen about this. He's another good buddy of mine who is in the LTL sector very, very heavy. And if you look at it, again, this is just pure speculation. And Gabe, I can't say he said this, but I want to say that we were talking about this when he was on my show last, is that I personally think, because there was a lot of union contracts up with the Teamsters this year, a lot. And maybe, again, this is pure speculation, maybe they knew that they weren't going to get what they wanted from everybody, and they looked at Yellow as the weakest link. I mean, because they were financially, they were a fucking dumpster fire. And that was the sacrificial lamb of it to get what they wanted from the others. You could make that again, this is purely a fucking guess of mine. You guys, I don't have any inside information from anything, but I could see that being a thing where they're going to strong arm that and use that leverage. Because again, look at what happened from a freight perspective. When that first started happening, all the customers pulled their freight. Who got all the upper hand there? Kind of the Teamsters, right? And they could probably go to all these other companies, which I know some of these guys ratified this shit beforehand, but the latest one with the $100,000 guaranteed union jobs, which again, shout out to the people on the front lines who are benefiting from this. But again, somebody's going to pay for it on the back end, i.e. us, the consumers, if you're shipping through UPS. But, I could see how that is associated with each other. I think that they were the sacrificial lamb because they had the least room to negotiate and financial stability behind it all. And they knew that if they could play that out, they could get what they wanted from the other ones. And hopefully, I don't know how this works, but hopefully all 22,000 Teamsters that are out of a job at Yellow get jobs at UPS, right? Like, fuck, that's what I'd be demanding, right? Like, why don't I get a $100,000 job a year at UPS now? So I can't say that the Teamsters don't do that, but I don't know if they do or not, so I can't say. They did not issue a statement about Yellow during varying times out there, though. Sean O'Brien accused Yellow of gross mismanagement, I can't disagree with that, namely for announcing it would miss 2 payments out there and follow the years of workers give back, federal loans, and other bailouts. This deadbeat company only has itself to blame. OBrien said that Yellow has historically proven it could not manage itself to cite billions of dollars in workers' concessions. Again, I can't disagree with him there on that because again, there was a lot of bailouts out there that happened. There was a lot of information that has come about that shows that again, there was a lot of issues on both sides, right? It wasn't just a one person only. And then it goes on to say that, Yellow sued the Teamsters, and then one Yellow restructuring caught in conflict with the Teamsters, and shock to the LTL trucking industry. Impacts of the exit were becoming plainly apparent a week in to the union declaration that they would cease, most notably layoffs of the 30,000 employees, including the 22,000 non-union members, are being routed to placement services to find new jobs. Namely an American Trucking Association shareable database that Yellow had said it joined as a partner, adding that it was committed to helping employees find new work. So again, based off of what I'm reading in this article, it clearly shows that the Teamsters are not actively working to put those 22,000 people back into jobs. Although it could be happening behind the scenes. I can't prove that it's not, but based off of what I'm seeing right here, that they're being routed to placement services. Plus other LTLs are gaining business from there. Let me see here. The LTL is a lot of debt, about 1.5 billion in long-term obligations. Yeah, they're Yellow's a mess when it comes down to it from a financial standpoint. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this all rebuilds and kind of goes into bankruptcy. Obviously Chapter 11 is going to show like a ramp down effect of it. And it is going to definitely be interesting to see what happens from this. I've already extensively put my opinion out there on what I think is going to happen, that somebody's going to come in and buy them up once they're in bankruptcy court and everything else. And once this gets done and there's like essentially no association with the debt anymore, that they're just out there picking apart, I think somebody major is going to come in and swoop up a lot of it. And again, it looks like their MFN Partners Management, they're the ones who caused Yellow stock to start to increase because they bought 40% and now control 22.1 million shares, which were at about 50 cents to highs to above $5. Yellow shares were back down significantly to around $3.50 per share on the afternoon, and the shock was down more than 42% on Yellow's formal announcement of its bankruptcy. But again, I think that it's going to be interesting to see. All right. Like there's a lot of information that can be learned from this. Again, I don't believe in stomping on anybody's grave by any stretch of the imagination at all, but there's going to be a lot to be learned from this scenario, especially when it comes to structuring out your business. And it is definitely going to be interesting to see how you can learn from this as a business. Again, I hope every single worker that was affected by this gets back on their feet and gets jobs right away, because that would be the absolute worst to be in that position right now. And I truly hope that everybody who was affected by those jobs at Yellow gets on their feet. Hopefully UPS swoops them all up, right? Hopefully other people go in and swoop all these good people up and get them back into work here, because those are the ones that I have, I feel for, and the ones that I think are going to be hopefully taken care of here. So that article, fleetowner.com, Yellow files for Chapter 11 and blasts the union. Let me see here. Catherine Whitehouse says, I started in this industry in 83. Oh, the changes I've seen in the company. Yeah, that was before I was born, Catherine. Sorry. But I think, yeah, there's been a lot of changes. Dave Crowder says, is it true the government paying into the Teamsters pension? Dave, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have any proof. And based on some of the stuff I said earlier about the Yellow situation when it first came out, I'm trying to be very careful about just throwing out an emotional response in this situation. But I'll look into that and see. And it could be true. I just can't confirm it. All right, guys, but that's going to be it for today. 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I'll be back tomorrow with my friends over at SPI Logistics. I'm flying up to Vancouver, Canada, And I'm going to go live with my man Mike Mikulik tomorrow morning from their studio at the SPI offices tomorrow and Wednesday. And yeah, but we'll be back 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. And as always, if you guys got value in what you heard here today, subscribe and share this show, you guys. Rank the show out there on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. If you got value in it, because that's how we grow. And then if you see value, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.